Over the span of more than 14 years of Terraria updates, we've gotten thousands and thousands of new items added, each with a pretty unique purpose. However, with so many additions, some of them are just bound to fall short. Whether it's getting overshadowed by something much better or never being worth your time at all, some Terraria items get pretty darn close to being considered useless. Until now, baby. Today, I'm going to take a look at a handful of these useless items and come up with a solution to their problems that would finally, hopefully, bring some light to their darkness. I want to make useless useful, so let's begin. So the first useless item I want to talk about today is the hotline fishing hook. Now, honestly, this one might be pretty surprising to see here, but hear me out. On the surface, this thing is actually pretty good. It fishes in lava on its own, it's got 45% fishing power, yay! However, this is a hard mode exclusive item that takes, on average, 75 angler quests to get, which just so happens to be 45 more quests than you need for the golden fishing rod, the better one. And you can also fish in lava pre-hard mode with the lava bugs and the lava-proof hook thingy from obsidian crates. So basically, you can get a better rod than the hotline hook with the same capabilities way sooner in progression. Let's fix it. So the idea here is to make the hotline hook and the golden fishing rod basically counterparts. So of course, one of the most diabolical parts of this fishing rod is the drop chance, that 1% drop rate after 25 quests in hard mode. Absolutely crazy. I think that should go to at least maybe 1.5%, 2%. So that it's not as insanely, stupidly hard to get. And of course, the big change here that I think would actually make this thing usable is if it had a higher chance of just catching crates. So it would be useful for crate fishing, but if you want like a quest fish or potion materials or whatever, swap to the golden fishing rod. And because the hotline fishing hook is still pretty hard to get, it wouldn't like take the place of the golden fishing rod or anything. In this case, they would both get their spotlights and they would live happily ever after. So yeah. Crate catching buff with maybe a higher drop rate. I think this is a great change. Let's move on. Before we get on to the next item though, I want to remind you that if you're enjoying the video and you want to see more, drop a sub. We're shooting for 10k. Thank you very much. Let's get on to the next item. Oh yeah, the most famous reindeer of all. Famous in Terraria for being dog butt. Wait, come back! Come back! So yeah, our next useless Terraria item is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer himself, my guy. He's got like some clunky Flappy Bird movement, and I really just can't see any genuine practical use for this mount, especially when you compare it to the other mounts. You know, you have the Witch Broom and the Shrimpy Truffle. Like, I'm just not using this, let's be real. So with that being said, how exactly do we fix this? So one thing you might have actually not even known about the Rudolph mount is you can actually hover with it. Hovering is a feature we can see in like some wing accessories, which I guess most of these aren't even wings, but you get what I'm saying. Basically, if you hold the down button while you're flying, you can stay at like a flat, like static area in the sky. And you know, Rudolph can do this too. So I feel like this is a really nice starting point for a pretty good rework. The idea here is very simple. I want to pretty much keep everything about Rudolph exactly the same, except for just buffing his hover. Imagine the hover, it would be really quick. So you could, you know, mid-boss fight, hop on Rudolph, get like a nice little horizontal air boost, and then obviously he would have limited flight time, so it would be, you know, fairly balanced, I think. Hop on Rudolph, shoot left or right really quickly to get out of your troubled situation, and now you're safe, now you're chilling. So yeah, Rudolph, give my boy a hovering buff. Santa's gotta get around. Alright, next item. Alright, this next maybe kinda useless item that I think should be better is the love potion. Now, I know this is kind of a vanity type of item, but the love potion is hard mode only. You need to fish for it, you need to farm for it, all for it to only last for 30 seconds. This is the type of item where you could do like, you know, some clip farming or whatever with your pals and throw one and wow, you're in love. Aww. And then never do it again. So yeah, let's give it a better purpose. This one was perhaps the easiest to come up with a solution for. The love potion works on any mob, which just so happens to include NPCs. So imagine if you throw a love potion at an NPC, for the next 30 seconds, they get a small happiness increase because, you know, they're in love, dude. This feels perfect because happiness lowers NPC prices, which yes, does include reforging, and it also gets you more money when you sell to them. Also, if this were to be a thing, you could get cheaper prices on the traveling merchant and skeleton merchant, which currently isn't possible. Like for example, if you had like the companion cube at your traveling merchant, it would go from 5 platinum coins to, I don't know, maybe like 4 plat 60 gold or like 4 plat 80 gold or something like that. This feels generally pretty balanced, especially because it's a hard mode item, and it would totally, like, honestly get me to use the love potion. I need me some better reforging prices, especially on Terra Spark boots. Anyway, I think that the love potion would be a great way to just get a little happiness increase, get some cheaper prices. I love this. I love this. Nope, actually, yeah, I guess the pun was intended. Next item. Alright, last and probably also least, unfortunately, we have the Obsidian Horseshoe. Now, this thing is the combination between the Lucky Horseshoe and the Obsidian Skull. By the way, both of these are behemoths when it comes to crafting recipes. You can make Ankh Shield, Terra Spark Boots, Bundle of Balloons. Great, amazing items, of course, right? However, when you make the Obsidian Horseshoe, you're taking all that potential that these two accessories had and just burying it like 90 feet under. Like, it's just pointless. So what are we gonna do here? This one was honestly the most difficult to come up with a solution for. Relogic has kept it pretty much unchanged since 1.1, which was like 79 years ago. So my idea here was basically the only thing that I could possibly think of, and that's just adding it to an existing crafting recipe for another accessory. And the first thing that I saw, and it kind of stuck out, like this felt perfect, the Hellfire Treads. Right now, the Hellfire Treads are a combination between Spectre Boots and Flamewalker Boots. And if you're familiar with all the stuff that Spectre Boots can craft into, it's pretty obvious that this is another one of those sort of situational dead-end kind of accessories. But if we decided to combine this with the Obsidian Horseshoe, genuinely, this is a match made in heaven. We're combining two accessories that are both pre-hard mode, they both go on your feet, they're both fire themed, and they're both relatively not that great, so we're giving them both a use. This is perfect. No? And finally, on top of that, this would also give like a really interesting dynamic because we don't currently have an accessory that's like light boots plus fall damage resistance. So this would pair really nicely with like mount users, or if you're just going for like a very horizontal build and you want to like do a lot more running as opposed to flying. I just think this makes so much sense. It feels good, it makes both of these items much more useful, and I'm a massive fan of this. Thanks for coming to my talk. And that's gonna do it for today, everybody. If you enjoyed, of course, press all the buttons down there, check out the video on screen, and also, huge thanks to all my channel members for sticking around after 3 months of no uploading. They're the goats. Anyways, have a good one. Bye bye.